Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Mark Angelides, Sarah Cowgill, Jim Fight, and Jeff Charles. And this is the Conservative 5, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. Not since the OJ trial have Americans been so dialed into a court case. A bit surprising because it wasn't even a criminal case. There was a lot of mudslinging in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial. But when it was all said and done, Depp emerged as the victor. Millions watched and public opinion sided with Depp, and apparently the jury agreed. Mark, it seemed that the panel of 7 deciding this case just wasn't buying what Ms. Heard had to sell.
Yeah, the jury, they weren't convinced on this, but I think the important thing about this whole case is that the entire country, in fact, the entire world was captivated by the spectacle, even if they didn't want to be, because it was almost like a car wreck, and you don't want to stare at the destruction, but you just can't look away from it. But for me, really two things stood out about this whole trial, this whole circus of errors. And the first was that this was the first major high-profile case that we've had where we've heard about a man being subject to physical and emotional abuse by their partner. And it's kind of amazing when you consider that all the studies show more than 50% of domestic abuse cases are against men. And so I think that this coming to light now, especially after the era of Believe All Women, I think that's really important. And so for me, Johnny Depp did a very brave thing by actually putting that out. And I guess the second most notable thing is what the ACLU's gotten up to. Has anybody seen that yet?
No.
Oh, this is amazing. So the ACLU, who admittedly by themselves, they helped author and edit Amber Heard's original op-ed, which began this whole saga.
Right.
Now they're suing Johnny Depp for north of $85,000 for the time and expense that it took them to defend themselves in court. And I think that's if the ACLU...
Wait. Wasn't she also supposed to, Mark, sorry to cut you off, but wasn't she also supposed to give a lot of money to the ACLU?
Absolutely. She was supposed to live, supposed to be many millions were part of the agreement, which is why they made her an ambassador, which is why they helped her craft this op-ed that really gave her this this highlighted role in the world. But yeah, she's actually, as far as the records show, personally from Amber Heard is about $350,000, which is less than 10% of what she's pledged to them. So any reputation that the ACLU really had left, I think it's unsalvageable now. I reckon that's gone.
Jeff, what is it about this case that's, caught the fascination of, if not this country, then the world? I mean, people were paying $30,000 a seat just to get into the Fairfax County Courthouse in Virginia. I mean, it was crazy.
I have no idea because I was not interested in this case at all. Maybe people just wanted a break from all the trash that's going on in the news right now. I can totally understand that. But from what I'm hearing about the trial, it wasn't much less trashy. But it did involve Captain Jack Sparrow. So I think that's why people were tuned in. But I also, to Mark's point, it is very rare for a man to come out and publicly say that he was abused by a woman and to actually file a lawsuit to defend his reputation on that. I think that was very compelling. And yes, it was very brave because one of the reasons why we don't hear about this stuff is because men don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit that they were abused by a woman because obviously we're stronger, unless you believe Leah Thomas's fans. But I think that I don't know if this will be the start of something new, of a new trend of this focusing more on men. But I mean, I'm glad that he won, and I hope that the ACLU's reputation goes further into the toilet until they start actually defending people's liberties.
Jim, I was interested to note that in the 7-member jury panel, I guess it's 7 members for a civil trial, 5 were men and 2 were women. That seemed odd to me that Heard's people would agree to that kind of gender, split on a jury like this.
Yeah, well, especially, I mean, I get maybe, Amber Heard didn't write most of that op-ed herself, but, she talked about how she stood up for domestic violence and she faced the wrath of society. And then, of course, now that things didn't really go her way in the civil suit, what was her immediate response? Blame the patriarchy, right? So you're right. It's shocking that that her legal team was on board for a 5 out of 7 being men.
Sarah, I watched some of Fox yesterday, and Judge Jeanine Pirro made the strongest case. And she was saying, the problem with Amber Heard was she was not telling the truth. She was lying in several instances, or she was caught lying in several instances by the jury. And that's really what was the nail in the coffin. And she kind of feels like Amber Heard set back the case of abused women because, she lied and the jury caught her.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you can't make a giant accusation about things and keep changing your story or keep modifying your story to fit, the questioner. And that was what she kept doing. I don't know if it set back the Me Too movement that almost disappeared anyway. And I don't know if, this trial has now launched the Him Too movement. I have no idea. But what happens is when people know and catch you in a lie, you're done. And I don't care how good you are at it. When they catch you, then they feel personally affronted. And that could have happened with that 7 panel.
Yeah. And it starts with one. And, once you're nailed on that first one, there's almost no recovery. Well, Mark, can you go ahead?
Yeah, I just want to come back on the question about the 7-person panel being 5 men and 2 women. Now, obviously, Hollywood and movie stars, they've got this mythos about them that they're the beautiful people. Now, I'm wondering if maybe Amber Heard's attorneys thought that because she's regarded as a beautiful woman, they might get some sympathy there. Or with the political climbs, there might be a case of some of the men wanting to white knight, as it's called, on behalf of Amber Heard. And so maybe here they made a miscalculation. But as Sarah pointed out, once you catch one lie, that person's credibility is gone. So regardless of whether they're male or female or any of the other 73 genders, once you spot a lie, that person's credibility is busted, and anything they say from then on has to be taken with, at the very least, a very large grain of salt.
Well, I did think it was interesting that after all these days and all this time, Depp was in England when...
Just down the road from me. Yeah.
Yeah, when the verdict was announced. And it made me think, and anybody can take this one, it made me wonder, was he a little nervous, like he couldn't handle the verdict? Because when they asked him, how much has this impacted you? He said nothing short of everything.
I would not want to be within a stone throwing distance from the gathered crowds when that verdict was read. I think it was not so much that he was afraid of it. It's just, why would you want to deal with it? Questions are going to be flying. People are going to be accusing. Yeah, it's going to be a circus. And so if he took himself away from that, then that circus would die down a lot faster.
And he could avoid the alpaca poo.
Also considering the fact, too, that the outcome of the trial may impact whether he's able to get work in the future. He lost a lot of work because of her accusations. So if the trial had gone the other way, then his career might have been done. It might still be done. I kind of don't think so. I think he'll be okay after this verdict, but still, it's going to be a long road for him. So that's probably what he was thinking about.
Well, Heard has complained that this verdict will set back the cause of women, but one has to wonder if she didn't do that all by herself with her histrionics and her inability to tell the truth. Thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our productions. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, surf on over to libertynation.com. Join us in the member zone, just $17.76 for the year. Special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank DiOrio, and our executive producer, Sarah Calgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth is making a comeback.